Hello, good morning. Hi. Hello, everybody. It's great to see you again. And for those of you watching on demand, a big welcome to you too. Today, Ielts Speaking is going to be focusing on the topic of toys. What a great topic. A few students have asked me about this topic because they weren't very clear about what we can say here. So we're going to look at some toys. We might even play with some toys, but we'll certainly talk about toys. Right. Good morning to you all. Sharma, great to see you here. And Jerry, hello, sir. How are you today? Great. Hello there. How do I pronounce your name? Gwyn, nice to see you. So as I said, today we're going to look at the topic of toys. But before we do, last week, somebody asked me for some pronunciation tips. Hello, Emily. Quesito, great to see you. And Mohammed, great. Good morning, Feline. I remember PRFM, Feline. And we're going to look, somebody asked me about pronunciation tips. So I'm just going to give you maybe one or two pronunciation tips today, and maybe some more next week as well, because I think that's a really good topic and a very difficult one, right? So I certainly need pronunciation training for the Vietnamese names, I think. Right. Good day, Dansley, Siti, Anuradha, Yen. Great to see you all here. Good afternoon, Mohammed. It's good morning here for me. I'm still drinking my morning tea. But Mohammed, nice to see you. Mary, brilliant to see you here as always. And Yen, it's your first time watching the stream. It's the first time for me to stream to you. So welcome. I hope you enjoy it. And I hope you learn something more important. So pronunciation tips. Let me go straight in. One of the biggest pronunciation mistakes I see in IELTS is so simple, but so many people make it. And that is they forget the S from the he or the she with the verb, right? Like he speaks English. I would say about 50% of the people say, he speak English. Yes, my friend, he speak English. Now, the problem is you may see the letter in your head. You probably know it should be an S, but you're not pronouncing it. And if you're not pronouncing it, there's two problems. One is it's a pronunciation mistake, and it's such a simple pronunciation mistake. It's like, boom, it's like a fish slapping the examiner in the face. It's like, oh my God, how can you make that mistake? It's such a basic mistake. It's terrible. It's like going to a meeting with your tie open or your tie kind of over here and twisted and your hair a mess. It's like, what kind of an impression will you make on people? So it sounds really simple, but it's so important, right? That S. So I'll just write this in the chat box. She speaks. Very, very, it's not actually difficult to pronounce. Well, maybe it is, because it's the speaks. It's a x, right? X. We actually have the k and the s at the same time. K, s, x. Speaks. She speaks. This comes up a lot, and it's very difficult to get the k and the s at the same time. But if you can do the k and you can do the s, then put them together at the same time. X, x, speaks, asks, asks. She asks me for some information. Another very, actually quite difficult, isn't it, that pronunciation? But so important, right? Especially if you're talking about people in part 2, describe a person who. Oh, imagine if you say, well, my friend, she work in London, she gets up every morning very late and she lived there a long time. No, she works in London, she gets up very late every day, she lives there or has lived there a long time. So it's really important, right? I'm just, as a memory guide for you, I'm going to put that in the comment box, right? She walks, actually, repeat with me. She walks, no, She works. She walks. She asks. She lives. She studies. Right? That S is like combing your hair before the interview. Don't laugh. I know. I don't comb my hair. If you've got hair or a bit more than me, it's like brushing or combing your hair before the interview. Okay. That's it. That's my simple pronunciation tip for today. Let me just say hello. Mary, you did your IELTS, but it didn't go as expected. Oh my, oh my. I've seen a message from you, but I haven't read it yet. Part 1, oh dear. So here you've got what happened. You've shared. Oh, that's very nice. Thanks, Mary. You've shared all of the questions. A situation where you didn't tell the truth, and then the questions there. What a good memory you have. Let's talk about that later. Okay, Ruth, good morning. Danzel, it's 5 p.m. in Taiwan. Great. I wonder if you're in Taipei or Taichung or somewhere else. Amro, good morning. Hong, Janie, second time. Great. Welcome, Janie. I hope it's the second of many. And Motaz and Sangi's from India. Mary, great to see you again. Right. Mohammed Nabil as well. Hello, my student. Katazinia, welcome. It's great to see you here. We're going to go straight into toys, right? Now, toys is an interesting topic. In part 2, right now, there is a question that is challenging quite a lot of people. And it's this question. Describe a toy you liked in your childhood. Right, describe a toy. So the first challenge is, well, what do I talk about? What counts as a toy? What exactly is a toy, right? So Dan, hi from Oman. Great. Great. Great, Janie. Great, Dan. So what exactly is a toy? Okay, you can have, for example, toys may be cuddly toys. What's a cuddly toy? That, my friend, is a cuddly toy. Hello. Keith's assistant. This is the cuddly toy. I've raided my daughter's bedroom, and this is a cuddly toy. So you can talk about a cuddly toy, right? You can talk about Lego. Do you know Lego? The building blocks. So Lego is the brand name, right? But lots of children actually love building blocks, whether it's Lego or another kind of brand. Then you've got board games. A board game is not a game where you're bored, although sometimes they are a bit boring. A board game is where you have a board, a bit like this. One of the most famous board games in the world, Monopoly, right? And look at this. It's the Manchester edition. Wow, because we got so fed up in Manchester of having the London edition, and it was all about Marylebone Station, Trafalgar Square, boring London. We've got the Manchester edition of Monopoly. How cool is that, eh? Now, this is a board game because there is a board in it. So there's loads of board games, right? There's board games like Snakes and Ladders. Do you remember that? When you were growing up, maybe snakes, you go up the ladder, and if you hit a snake, you go down the snake. That's a board game, right? Snakes and Ladders. Right. That's one of my favorite games. Taya, I'm so well prepared. I'm not that well prepared. 2 minutes before the class, I brushed my hair, and then I went to my daughter's bedroom and stole these toys. I love building blocks as well. It's one of those things you can it lets your imagination go wild. It's really creative and so much fun, right? Building blocks. Now, the other thing, which I couldn't find, because I think my daughter has thrown them out, but when she was younger, she had dolls. Dolls. Now, dolls are those figures that you have, like Barbie, you know, the Barbie doll, right? Blonde hair, thin, wearing her, I don't know, jacket, bikini, sunglasses, and you kind of take care of the dolls. And nowadays, oh my God, you even have dolls that cry, poo, eat things, their hair grows, like they're almost real. And you can even get a little pram and push your little baby doll around. It's like we're teaching young girls how to take care of babies. Dolls. Right. And of course, there are dolls for boys, but they're not called dolls because we usually think of dolls for girls. If it's for a boy, it's an action figure. You know, like the Marvel films, you have Thor, Iron Man, who are the Marvels? Superman, Spider-Man, and the little figurines, right? You've got action figures. Brilliant. You can get those as well. Is chess a board game, Hong? Well, yes, it is, actually. Yes, it is. And a very, very good one. I like chess. Yes. Hi, boy. I am well. Yes. Barbie. Exactly, Janie. Barbie. Barbie dolls. There was Barbie, and they introduced Ken, right? Who was the man, Ken and Barbie. So there are dolls. And of course, nowadays, there's lots of electronic games. Da, 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 da. This one's great, right?
Hola a todos. Me gustaría que cada uno de vosotros elija un color y pulse sobre él. Pulsad el botón verde del medio cuando terminéis.
How do I turn it off? That'll wake up the neighbors, won't it? Electronic games bought in Spain, obviously. You have to press the button. So those games are great. Electronic, not electricity, not electric, but electronic games. I'll type that out for you. Electronic games. Right. Oh, Feline had a candy house. Right, a candy house. There are as well dolls' houses, right? Which are these kind of almost full-size little houses where you put the dolls in as well. Right. And Ahmed said it was quite nice. Smaller than my brother's. Collected again. Yes, there are some great, actually, some fantastic chess sets. Very, very creative. What else have we got for well, boys and girls? Toy cars. We have toy guns, toy swords. If you've been watching Star Wars, I'm sure your children will have a toy sword. Puzzles and jigsaws. Again, great kind of toys to have. Puzzles and are similar to jigsaws, really. Puzzles and jigsaws. Wooden toys. Do you remember years ago we used to have wooden toys? And they came in fashion again recently. Okay, wooden toys. Right. What kind of toy did you like as a child? Oh, that's interesting. Facebook says it's not received a video signal from the video source. Does that mean that you're not contacting? Because I can't see any comments. I've lost you, haven't I? I think I've lost you all. Oh my, what has happened there? Something has happened to the connection. Janie, toy piano. I haven't lost Janie, but I think I've lost some of you. Toy piano, great. And of course, that's a good point. Lots of things that we had in the past, we just say toy, a toy sword, a toy spoon, a toy car. So you could take any object and just say a toy something, a toy computer, a toy oven, a toy cooking set, right? We had all of those. Okay, so let me move on to kind of part 3 questions. You still see me? Great. You can hear. Okay, we can hear you. Fantastic. Good. That's it. And I can still see some of your messages, which is great. It's just Facebook is sending me like these little messages saying they can't see you. So here, Mary didn't have many toys in her childhood.
Adios.
Oh, adios. A toy that I had for years was a doll that I found in a dump. Seriously? The doll was mutilated. Oh my. Her beautiful blonde hair was half cut. My family was scared of that doll. I'm not surprised, Mary. Barbie was a popular one, right? Okay, so questions. Should children be allowed to have any toy they want? What kind of toys do children have nowadays? Are the toys nowadays different from the past? Common question, right? Is it important to D? Another very common question. Are toys important, right? Is it important for children to have toys? And what's your opinion about toy advertisements targeted at children? Do you agree that toy adverts should be regulated? Some great questions, right? Some challenging questions. It is, Ahmad. It's a very good reply. Yes. So the first question, should children be allowed to have any toy they want? Should they be allowed to have any toy? So if your child says, I want that, should you just go and buy it for them? Well, what do you think? Pinipon, Ruth, lovely. Action figures of Star Wars. Yes, yes, those are great, Ruth. I agree. Right, Mona, you used to make your own toys from recycled things. Yes, exactly. Yes. Growing up, sometimes we were the same. I didn't have many toys, and I always thought my friends had more toys than me. And in some difficult years, I just got given things like a wooden spoon and a pan when I was really young. Play with that. Bum, bum, bum. And it became a drum set, right? You use your imagination. Yes, it increased their motivation, Fatma. Right, it does increase their motivation. You'll have to elaborate. Motivation to do what? To play, to learn. So on the one hand, right, should they be allowed? They should be allowed to have toys, yes, because toys are good for their creativity. It helps develop their imagination. Many toys can be played with other children and so can develop important social skills, right? So it is important to have toys. However, should they have any toy they want? I suspect not, because there's the danger that they will expect to get everything they want. And in their future life, they won't be able to get everything that they want. So they learn to need to control their expectations. Maybe, right? There's a danger they become fickle as well. Because if you give a child any toy they want, they play with it for a day, and then they throw it away, and then they want the next bright, shiny toy. I want that one. And mum and dad give it to them, and they play for a day, boom, and they throw it away. They can become fickle. That's a nice word. Fickle is where you jump from one thing to another thing, right? You can be very fickle, not very loyal. It's the opposite of loyal, right? If you're loyal to a brand, like you always buy Dove soap, you're loyal. But if you get a different brand every time, you're very fickle. It's a slightly negative word. So there is a danger they can become fickle. It's a lovely word. Fickle. Fickle. In London, they say fickle. Fickle. Because Londoners speak great English. They do. Right, Motas, good point. Yes, as long as it doesn't affect their behavior, right? Mary says, not really. Children can have a choice for different toys. However, parents should have a cross-check whether it's useful for them. Very good point. Cross-check whether it's useful for them. Is it going to help them? Will it educate them? Or will it have a negative impact, right? You may think some video fighting shooting games might be negative for them. There's also the safety aspect that you parents need to check the toys are safe, or at least age appropriate. And there's a really useful expression, right? Age appropriate means appropriate for the age, Keith. It's suitable for that age. So if you have a 3-year-old, you're not going to give them Monopoly, for example. It's not safe. They're going to eat the dice and they're going to eat the counters and end up in the hospital. So it has to be age appropriate. I'll write that down. And I think parents need to make sure toys are age appropriate. I'm pretty sure it's with a hyphen. Yeah, age-appropriate toys. So good point, Mary. Hey, Jayanta, nice to see you. Depends on what they're demanding and what they're asking for. That's right. Yes. Can you afford it? Should you spend so much money on children? And is it age appropriate? Is it safe? Yeah. A child should not be deprived of toys because these play an important role in their development, says Mona. They do. However, that said, mind you, I think there has to be a control. Maybe call me old-fashioned. Maybe I am old-fashioned, but I think they have to control it. Tao, you've got fickle. You've spelt it correctly. Yes. An important factor in children's choice regarding toys, want, and needs is education received from the parents. People should teach children about the importance of sharing a toy. Yes, that's true. Toys are social, should be social things that help her promote social development. Now, Ruth, that's a lovely expression. It might give them the false idea that money grows on trees. That is lovely. Want to write down, make a note. Money grows on trees. Yes, I mean, I think it was my mum or my dad sometimes said, what do you think? Money grows on trees? You can't have all of these toys. So you don't want them to think money grows on trees, right? Okay. Nice, Jayanta. So parents need to regulate to some extent. Like having a toy gun for young children would lead to a negative cognitive development, says Mary. Brilliant. Absolutely true. Very, very true. And there's the danger, Nastina, is that they become spoiled, right? There's a danger they become spoiled, that they expect everything and get everything. So we do have to be very, very careful. And that idea of being fickle and also throwing away, we can say they may discard the toy. To discard is to throw away. So children often discard the toy after a day. And this is all part of, there's a danger that you encourage a short attention span because you're giving them lots of different toys, they discard them, and they have this short attention span, which is a growing problem nowadays, right? Short attention spans, very, very big problem. And I'll just share my notes just as I move on to make sure they're safe. Be careful of choking hazards. So things that they can swallow and choke on, especially younger babies. This sounds like a parent workshop, doesn't it? It doesn't sound like an English class. It's suddenly become a parent workshop. How to bring up your children. Exactly, Dan. Yes, it depends on the age. Really good answer. It depends on the age. For example, for a toddler, they usually play educational and colorful toys. Yes, they do. Very, very good. I like it. And I love Emily's signpost. As far as I'm concerned, nice. Toys help children foster their creativity. Make a note, everyone. Foster their creativity. But if children have a lot of toys, they will be hard to self-discipline. And it will cost a lot of money. No problem, Mona. Right, good. Haida has just turned up from a rainy day in Pakistan. Haida, the topic is toys. That's not my toy, just in case you're wondering. And we're just going to move on to the next question. What kind of toys do children have nowadays? Oh, I guess we've talked a bit about that, right? What kind of toys do children have? We've talked about all the different kinds of toys, building blocks, electronic toys, board games. Somebody brought up educational toys, which I think is a really good thing to talk about because there is an obsession nowadays with educational toys, right? It never used to be that way. I'm just going to share some notes. Educational toys. So many, many years ago, you would give a child a wooden spoon and a pan, and they would bang it, and they would sit there and play banging the drum, banging the pan. Now, that same toy you can pay 40 euros for today, and on the box, it will tell you the educational benefits: dexterity, agility, hand movement, tuning in the ear so you can hear and differentiate sound, musical creativity, and there's a whole list of things. And I think we've become a bit obsessed of categorizing and measuring. So a lot of toys now actually also give a comparison to your national curriculum. In England, you buy a toy like this, and it says, this matches Key Stage 1 curriculum. Do you remember Key Stage 1? If you were here on Tuesday, primary school. In primary school, children learn to touch, to socialize, to relate to people, hand movement, physical exercise, and the toy will have a list of the national curriculum objectives it's ticking. Why? Well, because on the one hand, I think parents want educational toys, and we like to measure our children's progress. On the second hand, those clever marketing people know that parents will want, you put educational toy, boom, parents will pay for it. Absolutely. They're not thinking about fun for their children. They're thinking about education. That's not a bad thing, right? I mean, that is a great thing. But I think the marketing companies are very, very clever, very astute. So we've got, I just put in a few words like dexterity, age appropriate, get a kick out of it, right? Children get a kick out of different toys. They enjoy those toys. Yeah. Right. Good. I'm going to move on to a different question that is slightly more probing, more complex. Do you agree that toy adverts should be regulated? There you go. Interesting question, right? Should toy adverts be regulated? What do you think? As you're thinking, Mary says, nowadays children have technological toys. My personal opinion is this will lead in future to further isolation from society. Even now, they prefer to engage to each other. They prefer to engage with each other on social online games and chat instead of playing together outside. It's really interesting. And I think you've touched on a really good point. This balance between isolation and socialization. I think it's really hard because I think the way we communicate and socialize has changed. It's not all face-to-face. A lot of it is online. And so children are learning useful online skills, that there is a big fear, right? That they will end up socialized, isolated from other children, instead of going outside, getting the fresh air and doing some activity. So I share the concern and the worry. Marketing as the Montessori toys. Well, yes, Montessori toys. Montessori is a great methodology, but the marketeers have taken it and maybe exploited it. And I don't want to offend any people working in marketing. I mean, I also work in marketing, and it is important, but there's a fine line, right, between telling the truth and selling. Right. So the question was, do you agree that toy adverts should be regulated? This was interesting. I had to think about this. Any ideas, anybody? Should they be regulated? Let me check my notes, because this was yesterday. Wow. Okay. Well, one of the things I was thinking about, and I also did that trick, right? If you're not sure, my trick is to copy the question into a search engine like Google, see what comes up. Ignore anything that has IELTS on it and go to the real life stuff and see what comes up. And you find some really interesting ideas. One of the main ideas here about regulating toys was about protecting children. That certain toys, if they're not age appropriate and they're being advertised at peak viewing times, they can have a very detrimental effect on young children. You know, if you're seeing an advert for a toy sword where the children 12 years old or 10 years old are fighting with the sword and they're trying to kill each other, and this is being shown to a 3-year-old who may get a bit frightened, it can have a negative effect on them. So the regulation of advertisement, in particular the time it is shown on TV, is very important. In our modern day world of on-demand TV and online videos, how do you control that? There's a big conversation about YouTube and Facebook advertising, right? What about children there? I guess Facebook control it by saying you're not allowed on Facebook till you're 13. Right. Good. Great question, Dansley. May I ask if general training and academic are the same in part 3 of IELTS? In part 3, you mean of speaking? If you mean speaking, the whole speaking test is the same for academic and general. It's the same speaking test. Yeah. Casito says yes. Thanks, Casito. Great. All adverts should be regulated, not only that of toys. Right. Regulated by who? By the government, I suppose. Yes. And Fatma says because most of the ads deceive kids. That's right. Yes. Yeah, Emily, great answer. Exactly. We're on the same wavelength. I think, Fatma, because they deceive kids is a really, really important point. Most children are not aware of something called the selling intent. The selling intent is where an advert doesn't look like an advert. And so the advert is trying to sell something, but it shows you a scene or a story, and it doesn't look like an advert for many, many people, especially young children. And they don't realize that that thing is trying to sell them something. They just think it's fun and interesting. And then they go and pester their parents and say, I want this, I want this, I want this, because they don't realize of this advertising, this selling intent. So in some ways, the company is deceiving the children if they're targeting the children. If they target the parents, that's fine, but they never target the parents. They target the children, bright colors, flashing lights. And so the children just think, I want that. And they go and pester their parents. Pester's a nice word. To pester is to nag. To nag is a nice word. What does to nag mean? The same as to pester. It's one of those perfect words, which is where a child goes to the parent and says, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that, give me that. That's to pester. I say children. Sometimes my wife pesters. Does happen, right? Sometimes our wives and husbands may pester us, but children normally pester. So children may pester. I hope she's not listening. Children may pester their parents, or nag is another word. To nag someone is the same idea, right? It's to repeatedly say you want something or you want that person to do something. Right. Definitely should be regulated, said Mary. Not all advertising are presenting the real function of the toys. Yes, exactly. Not to mention health and safety regarding these toys. People buy because they think they are safe and educational and are attractive. Yes, yes, brilliant. That expression is called the selling intention. It is a marketing word or a selling word, but the selling intention is the desire to sell something. And the really clever adverts, they hide the selling intention, right? It's often what we call, it's a soft sell. Soft sell is where you don't quite realize they're selling something to you. Fatma, absolutely right. Colors and sounds appeal to kids. Very good. They appeal to kids. Great. Rather than the value of the toy itself. Brilliant. Yes. Now, Mary, by and large, yes, it has deleterious effect on children. Deleterious. Let me check that word. An interesting word. Deleterious. Perfect as an adjective. It has a deleterious effect on children, meaning damaging, leading to conflicts with parents. Yeah, because of the pestering, right? No, you can't have that, but please. Increases stress and anxiety, can even lead to mental trauma. Brilliant. I love your vocabulary, Mary. It's brilliant. Absolutely true. So there should be some kind of regulation. I think words like exaggeration, exploiting, deceiving are all good words to use here, right? Right. And the other thing is, and here's a nice expression, is that toys may enforce gender stereotypes. I mean, the advertisements enforce gender stereotypes. This is very topical today. I mean, this never existed when I was a kid. You know, when I was a kid, we had action figures for boys and dolls for girls. Blue for boys, pink for girls. In fact, the toy shops would be separate. You'd have the girls' stuff and the boys' stuff. And I think that's still the case. Dolls for girls, toy swords for boys. Science kit, where does that go? Science kit for girls, for boys, used to go for the boys, right? The Lego for the boys. So it was enforcing gender stereotypes, and the advertisements today still very often do that. They sell those toys to boys and these toys to girls. Interestingly enough, in today's society, I have noticed here in Spain, which I think is quite advanced in respect to gender awareness and gender openness, they are starting to show adverts where the boy is playing with a doll. And the parent's initial reaction is, well, you don't want that. Here, have the toy car. But the boy insists. And in the end, somebody else, another parent says, well, why not give him if he wants the doll? And they buy the doll. So they're changing a little bit this attitude towards gender stereotypes. That if the boy wants a doll, let the boy have a doll. If the girl wants a science kit, give the girl a science kit. So the advertisement has a role there. My God, this does feel like a parenting workshop. I'm really sorry. This is not meant to be a parenting workshop. I think it's a really interesting topic as a parent myself. Joanna says, I remember my 2-year-old and I were in a toy store. Oh, I love stories. And I remember my 2-year-old and I were in a toy story. That's a film. In a toy store, and a sales lady was showing this particular toy to my kid, attracting to get one for herself, as if she was selling it to her rather than me. My kid was insisting me buying that toy. Clever sales lady. Oh my God, yes. Oh, yes. Absolutely. Joanna, it's the same with the man and the woman, the husband and the wife. When they go to buy something, the sales assistant very quickly decides and knows who is the decision maker. Doesn't matter who's got the money, it's who's the decision maker. And it's the same here, right? It's the children that are often the decision maker or very big influencers. I love that. Thank you, Joanna. Waleed, out of the blue, suddenly we're on toys, and Waleed says, thank you so much. I got a 7 band in speaking. Fantastic. Waleed, I'm very, very pleased. I will send this toy to you by post as your reward. That's brilliant, Waleed. Well done. Good. Excellent. Round of applause. It's nice to hear. So listen, I am going to have to finish up because I'm noticing the time. I do have to go and do something today. I've got to go meet somebody. So before I go, I feel like it's gone very fast today, but I hope you've got some ideas about toys and some of the questions here. I think between us, we've got some amazing language collocations and idioms there, which are really, really useful. Is anybody doing the test this week? Let us know if you are. If you are, I wish you really the very, very best this week. Great. Joanne. Although toy adverts regulation may be beneficial to children, it is also imperative for parents to teach them to practice discipline at the early stages of their milestones. Oh, that is so true. And I like that word, imperative. It's imperative for parents. It's got a really nice alliteration, right? It's imperative for parents to teach them to practice discipline at the early stages of their life, of their milestones. Exactly. So that even if some advertisements may cause harm to children, it will be prevented to those who were taught discipline and responsibility. Teach your children to make the decisions, right? Self-regulation. Brilliant, Joanna. Nice. Joanne, sorry. Yes, unethical advertising. That's great, Mary. Unethical advertising. So those words of deceiving, unethical are brilliant. Great. It's impossible to explain to a child that you have money to buy food, but not for toys. Yes. So what do? We give adverts where we put the toy inside the food, right? Have you noticed that? Cereal packets, they put the toy inside the food in the cereal packet. Katarzyna on the 21st. Brilliant. That's coming soon. Oh, you still have a bit of time, but coming soon. Anuradha has her test tomorrow. Right. Ruth on the 14th. So those are the next few days. So listen, on the count of 3 to Anuradha and to Ruth, we're all going to click the like button to give them a round of applause or at least a thumbs up. For Anuradha and Ruth and anybody else who is not typed in just yet. Okay. Has anybody else? Raj on the 21st. So Raj, you'll get your thumbs up next week. You've still got time. So here we go. Anuradha and Ruth, get your like buttons ready. 1, 2, 3. Ba-bum. Anuradha, good luck. Ruth, good luck. I'm sure you'll be absolutely fantastic. All of us wish you the very, very best. Do let us know how it goes, right? Brilliant. Great. Good luck, dear. Right, the test may be cancelled. Don't worry if it is. Quesito on the 19th, that's okay. We're going to see you next Tuesday, which I think is the 19th. Oh, in case we don't, Quesito, here's a like from me and a good luck. All exams are cancelled in KSA, right? This is starting to happen. Yes. But listen, even if they're cancelled and delayed, keep studying, keep focused, because it's not just the test, right? It's English for your future. And I think it can be so important. Anyway, that's it. Guys, we're going to finish up. Thank you very, very much. It's been my absolute pleasure today. I've enjoyed showing you toys. I'll go and put them back before my daughter comes home. Great. Have a great weekend, and that's it. Oh, I've got a video coming out tomorrow on YouTube. It's tomorrow, YouTube video. Keep your eyes open. I'm not sure what time of the day, but it'll be out tomorrow. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you very much. Cheerio.